Alright, I have a 2011 Chevy Malibu with a 4-cylinder engine and an electric steering rack and pinion. That is going to be the part that we are replacing today. I was quoted around $800 to replace this part because of the labor cost. The part itself only costs around $140. Now, what usually happens when replacing a steering rack and pinion is that you're going to have to remove a whole bunch of stuff. You're going to have to remove that exhaust that goes right under it, and then you're going to have to remove all sorts of other things in order to just get it out. Now, the case with this though is we have a nice and skinny steering rack. So what I'm assuming we can do is get the thing out, and we should be able to just shimmy it out this way without removing anything. So that's the goal. Now, notice how this doesn't have any hoses or anything attached to it, and that's because this is an electric steering rack, which does have its drawbacks and, pros and cons compared to a hydraulic steering rack. But for today, that just makes it a little bit less complicated for removing and replacing it. Now, if you did have a hydraulic, this will most likely not work for you. Anyways, we're just going to get on with the first step, which is going to be raising the car, of course. And now we're going to need to be able to remove both tires, so we're going to put jack stands down here. Now those jack stands are going to go under our main frame, and that's what we're going to use to support it. Just raise one at a time with your jack. Just any old jack will work. And then once you get the tires off, go ahead and slide those under there too, just for a little bit of extra safety. So the next thing that you're going to do once you get the tires off is you're going to have to remove the tire rod. In order to do that, you're going to have to take off this little nut here from down here, and then you're going to also have to loosen this jam nut back here, right here. And then you're going to have to get this thing off somehow. Usually you can just smack it with a hammer from the bottom. You might have to smack the ankle too, but make sure you don't actually hit the thread to the side, or else you're going to get it really stuck in there, which is something that I ended up doing. And since I got this one stuck, I'm just going to go ahead and use this ball joint separator to really get it out. Alright, bam. It's just going to fall off when I'm just screwing this sucker in too. Yeah. Alright, now that we got that part out, we're going to take off the outer tire rod and make sure we count every rotation that we pull it out, just to make sure that we know the distance that it goes onto the inner tire rod when we're putting it back in. So that's going to be, every time we loosen it, that's 1 full rotation, and then that's going to be 2, and then so on until you get it all the way out. Now that we've taken off the tire rod, we're just going to remove everything mounting the steering rack to the car. Now that's just going to be 1 small 11mm bolt, and then 2 of these large 18mm. Now the 18s are going to be running through right here and right here, that thing of course, and then the 11mm is going to be clamped around here. Now where that is under the car, it's going to be over here. We're going to see that 11mm going right into that hole up there, and then you can see kind of behind that is where the 18mm are going to be. Alright, so once you get into the car, you're going to be able to get this wrench. You're going to have to get the wrench up into there. It's kind of a bit of a hard reach. Once you get it up on top, and you're also going to get the other 18 wrench, and you're going to connect it to what's down here. Now I've already got it taken off, so we don't need to do that right now. But essentially you just kind of get it held on to the one up top, and then you just crank this one. Eventually it's all the way going to fall through. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Let me show you where that is. Okay, so from here we can already see that I've already gotten the tire rod taken out, and then it's kind of pushed back because I've been pulling on it from the other side. Because at the same time I've got the inside of it way back there unscrewed. Because it's going to go right up on that top part, right up there. That's where the other 18mm is, and that's where you're going to connect your wrench, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side to here. Alright, so at this point, I'm trying to get this part off of the actual steering rack. Everything else is loosened, so this thing is freely moving around, honestly. But this thing is clamped in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a flathead screwdriver and I'm going to put it up in there. And then I'm going to screw in the 11mm so that it kind of pries that open and gives it a little bit of space so I can push that in and then pull this out, because this does have a lot of leeway. So if you actually push it, it will go directly in quite a lot, and you'll be able to pull the entire steering rack to the side. And so I'm going to go ahead and try to loosen that with a screwdriver. Alright, so that part took me a little bit, but I ended up screwing a washer in between that part and the screw. That kind of pried it open a little bit, and then I was finally able to jam this out. And now we're going to just kind of slide this thing all the way towards us because it is completely loose now. Alright, there we have it. Now getting this thing out was a bit of a pain. As you can see, that hole is the small opening. That's all that you get in order to shimmy this entire thing through. But it is possible. You don't need to force it or anything like I was trying to earlier. It's like one of those metal puzzle pieces where you have to separate two little pieces. You just kind of twist it around a few different ways and it will fit. So, no problem. Just put this back in. Just do everything you did to get it out in reverse with the new part, and then you should be all good. Yeah. Right, so the last thing that you're going to want to do when you're finishing up is just make sure you put on a little bit of brake grease when you're done, and then make sure when you're putting in the tie rods, remember how we counted how many rotations it took to take them off. Just put them back on the same amount of rotations, and then you will be good to go.